Tell me about trading. I'm interested. What's going on in the stock market? What's happening? Are we positive? What's going to be the future? The S&P has gone up so much. Are you still, would you say to advise, let me go and invest now because over the 10, 20 years, S&P has outperformed, etc. There's a lot of hype going on. People want to know where to put the money. What's going on? Give us some good advice.
This is going to be considered financial
This
advice.
is financial advice, and there's a disclaimer. Everybody, you're at your own risk if you listen. At the end of the day, this is his own personal views.
I think that this AI phenomena is just insane. I mean, we've started to see it in some of the share prices of some of these companies. These aren't small penny stocks and small mum and dad companies. These are like behemoth institutional, massive companies that have already got billions and billions in revenue, and they're growing 100%. So I think that ultimately says it all how big this opportunity is. There's obviously going to be societal fallouts from this, but you have to distinguish between the two. If you're investing in the stock market, your goal is just to make money. The S&P, the NASDAQ, a lot of these American companies, Israeli companies that list in America, AI is just increasing productivity. It's increasing efficiency. So everything's going to be done in a short amount of time. I mean, I'm sure most people see Claude, ChatGPT. That's just what we see. I mean, there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes, which, you don't see every day in your life, but it is coming. A lot of the rise is already, in my opinion, is kind of factored in. But at the same time, you look at the internet took a while to build out. This might be a bit quicker because of how efficient it is, but we're 2-3 years maybe into the AI revolution. So I think there's crazy amounts of opportunity. From a trading perspective, it's very different from investing. Trading, you have to be much more tactical. If you're investing for the long term, when this bubble pops, and it will, you'll see a lot of these companies down 90%. And if you bought right at the top and you're still holding the bag at the end of it, the joke's on you. So it's not as simple as just buying and it going up. You also have to sell at the same time. So there's a lot of moving parts.
You buy, you make your money, you sell, and then you buy again, and then, there's a bubble pop. Then you're finished. So you can also be finished in the trade.
They don't ring the bell when it's the top, though. So you don't know at the time that the market is topped.
I'm saying, let's say you build up a position and you buy and you sell, and over time, let's say you make the £1 million buying and selling, and then you put in the £1 million into an AI company or several AI companies, and then, God forbid, 3 weeks later, the market crashes and now it's worth back to 100,000. So how do you contain yourself knowing what everybody else is thinking? One day there's going to be a bubble. How do you position yourself?
I've seen enough novices that have come to the markets thinking that they're going to make all this money. It teaches you a lot about human nature. You buy something at 100, it goes to 110. People want to sell it because they got profit. You buy something at 100 and it goes to 90. Well, it's a better deal now. It's at 90. Because we're so conditioned to looking for what's on sale, but no one's suggesting that it's on sale. That's just the conclusion that you've reached. So it goes to 90, you buy more. It goes to 80, you buy more. It goes to 70, you buy more. It goes to 60, you buy more. You're gone. You're wiped out. So people generally don't like to sell things at losses, but in my experience, you've got to get used and you've got to get comfortable with taking lots of small losses. This is from a trading perspective and also from an investing perspective. You have to be comfortable taking lots of small losses because it's just the maths of trading and investing.
Well, give us a good strategy.
I think strategy is very dependent on personality because I'll give you an example. You buy a stock at 100 and it goes to 200. You've doubled your money. Now that stock could easily pull back 50% to 150, which would be in certain instances quite a healthy, thing to happen because stocks don't just go up in a straight line. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. So people wouldn't be able to stomach that. And they would freeze in the moment and they would make bad decisions. But if I was to give something for the average person, I personally wouldn't bet against America. I think the innovation is all coming out of there. And even if the innovation isn't coming out of there, it's getting funded predominantly out of there. You get a lot of these Israeli companies, for example, they've got the technology, but
America's got the money.
So they'll go to America, they'll get funding.
They say Europe has outperformed America this year.
Yeah, I mean, nothing again goes up in a straight line, but I think if you look at the long term, I think most people shouldn't trade the markets. And I don't think people should be investing in individual stocks either, unless they really know what they're doing and they have a deep understanding of the fundamentals and the company. Mm-hmm. I think you've just got to put your money in something like the S&P NASDAQ. If you're an 18-year-old kid and you've just started your first job and you get paid £2,000 a month, if you're a bit older and you're like in your 50s or 60s, again, it also depends on your goals. Generally, this is what most pension funds do, but they charge you for it. They charge you to actively manage the portfolio. Very rarely do things outperform. I mean, most hedge funds don't outperform things like the S&P and NASDAQ. What you bought today versus what you own in 20 years could be completely different, because the largest 500 companies will change in 20 years, but you already own that. So by owning the S&P, it's like owning a share of the economy in America, and also a little bit globally, because a lot of their revenues are global. If you own NASDAQ, it's like that, but just for tech.
But shouldn't you wait for the bubble? Keep your money in cash and wait for the bubble to burst, because it means it's going to burst sometime soon. Within 6 months, within a year, there's going to be a burst. There will be some exogenous factor which will make it happen, and then everyone runs away with their money.
I think a good strategy for the average person that's on a salary that's getting money coming every month is to do something called a dollar cost average, which is every month you put in a certain predefined amount into the market, just buying these passive index funds, and you top that up every month. When you get paid, it goes in. Over time, you're not buying too high, you're not buying too low, but you get an average cost.
Right.
Add something onto that if you see a big drop in the market, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, you can increase the purchase size, because we do like to buy things on discount. But I wouldn't do that with individual stocks.
Right. Okay.
Because there's a lot more risk.